Hey everybody, it's me, Kai Mann, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that I would have never thought, like maybe 5 years ago, that I would ever be talking about. Long distance relationships. Now, have you or somebody you've known has ever said, I could never be in a long distance relationship? Me. I've said it. I never thought that I could do a long distance relationship, only because I guess I didn't think that I was disciplined enough, or maybe that I would miss the person too much, or that it would just be too hard to do that. Um I have been in a long distance relationship for about 3.5 years, and it has been tough. I won't say that it hasn't been tough, but it has been a growing situation. It's been something that has allowed me to grow as an individual and as a couple. I think that the hardest thing about being in a long distance relationship, of course, the obvious of not having your partner there with you physically in the room with you, where you can touch them a lot. You know what I mean? That is one of the downfalls to it, or the disadvantages of it. But what I have learned is I've learned how to be with my partner in many different ways. One of the things that we do is we talk on the phone a lot. Like, we really do. We talk on the phone a lot. We can be on the phone for at least 3 hours. But during that time, it's not like we're just both sitting somewhere and we're talking on the phone together. We're doing our everyday life together. So where she might be at home, or I might be at home, and she might be, going to the grocery store, doing all the things that she does, outside of working and dealing with other people, she will be on the phone with me. I might be here. I might be creating videos, doing some different things, getting up, cooking, and I might even get in the car and go to the store. Whatever the case may be, we're doing our day together. And I know a lot of people never really think about that, but those are some ways that you can really be in the relationship together. One other thing that I never thought that I would be able to do it, because I'm a visual person, which means that I have to physically see you. So me not seeing her all the time, originally when we were on the phone talking, we do like IMO chat, or we've done Google Hangouts and things of that nature so that we can talk to each other. But there's not always the time that you can actually talk with each other, because if you're getting up, you're busy, you're going, you're driving, you're doing all these different things, you may not be able to video chat at the time. So you're always constantly, there's an auditory sense. I have never been a person who learns or could gather information just by hearing it. I've always have to see it, and I've always got to do it. And so I think for me, that was a great challenge. But what it also did for me is it taught me how to become a better listener. Not just to the person that you're talking to. Many of us can listen to the person that we're talking to and understand and comprehend what it is that they're saying. But are you able to grasp the what's going on in the room? Are you able to listen and hear just the smallest of things in the room? I can give you a quick story. For months, my partner and I were having conversations. She's going throughout her day. I was, doing my day, at home, and, writing, or getting things together, or just posting stuff for clients or whatever while I was on the phone with her. And it got to be a point where I began to stop doing those things and really listen. And so she would be walking, she'd have these heels on, and I could hear the heels, and I could tell the difference in the pavement. I can tell the difference in the room if it was places that she goes every Tuesday, or goes every Wednesday, or goes every other day. I remember being on the phone with her, and I can hear her heels hitting the pavement. So I knew that where she was walking, I could either tell that she was already inside of a building or she was outside walking towards a building. And I remember telling her, we were on the phone, and I said, I bet you I know exactly where you are right now. And she never said. We were just, in the midst of conversation, but in the midst of the conversation, I was hearing these different sounds. And so as we're sitting there, we're talking, and I tell her that I bet you I know exactly where you are right now. And she asked me, where am I? And I said, you're in the cleaners. And she was like really floored that I was able to tell her that. Got me some brownie points, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to know exactly where she was just by knowing, oh my God, like a clairvoyant. But wherever she would be, she would always tell me, in the beginning, this is where I am. I'm at the cleaners right now. And then she would talk to the person that she was, she regularly visit this cleaners. And so she would talk to him and, say, how you doing, whatever, get her clothes and leave. And she's, tell me that she was leaving and where she was going next and that type of thing. So I could begin to pick up the sounds where she had told me previously where she was or where she was going. And, she stopped doing that. Like she stopped telling me where she was going and where she was doing. We just were so engrossed in conversations after then that I can just tell her exactly where it is that she was. And I was proud of being able to do that, only because that meant that I really had been paying attention to not only what she was telling me, but paying attention to the surroundings as well. So I felt like I had grown in the auditory senses area. So not only am I, better at being a visual person, but also as well, I'm going to decline this phone call. Hold on one moment. Okay. So that's over with. But anyway, what it has taught me also is different ways of being in a relationship. Before I got into this relationship, I had done a interview with a relationship coach. And at the time, this was something that I was thinking about, but I was like, I didn't know if I would ever be able to do it. So she gave, a few suggestions of what to do. And you're thinking, okay, well, that ain't enough. But as you get into a long distance relationship, of course, every so often you get together so that you can see each other. You might meet at different cities or meet in each other's cities, whatever the case may be, so that you can, see each other and have that quality time. But also what we would do, not just only video chatting and things of that nature, we also made appointments to actually talk with each other at specific times too, so that way that we talk to each other about our businesses and things that we're doing and things of that nature. The person that I'm in a relationship with is just as busy as I am and does just as much, work as I do. So we have a lot to talk about. We have different things that we talk about, but also, the best things that I found was that I was beginning to be creative. So whenever, you don't have every Friday date night like most couples. So basically what I would do is when my partner and I got together, because I love the movies. So on a Saturday that we're together, we might see 2 or 3 movies in one day. So we'll do breakfast. We have all our plans out about the movies that we're going to go see. And we movie hop from one movie to the next movie to the next movie because I've scheduled them out. It gives us time. We're at the same theater. So we grab our popcorn, get our candy, whatever it is that we're getting. We're sitting there. And I know what types of restaurants that she loves. So no matter wherever it is that we are, I try and plan out so that we get the most out of our time together. We do things like we go pottery. We do pottery. We, excuse me, We of course go out to eat, we go painting. We've had scheduled places where we go to dance, to learn a new dance. Like, we do all kind of things. So, it makes up for the time that we're not together. So we try and, pack in all this stuff. But of course, you've got to have your intimate time together as well. But we're always in a space of intimacy because we're always talking. Another thing that we do is that we send each other songs. So, I might hear this song or whatever that, is amazing and makes me think about her. And so I'll send her this song and she does the same thing. Or sometimes, we'll send each other maybe information, things that we're learning about. And so it also gives us things to talk about later. So in the instance where we can't talk to each other, maybe, she's doing, her business and I'm doing mine, meeting with, clients or whatever the case may be. And we're able to, in between time, get a few minutes and we need to take a look at something, or we find something out, or the other person is busy, maybe we're doing something else. And so what we do is we text each other different information, and then later on we kind of talk about, what it was that we read or that we heard, a video, whatever, and we talk about those things. So it's not, outside of not really being in the same city or the same state or same country for that matter, because I know people are not even in the same country, but it's not as hard as one would make it, be. We have to be really creative in what it is that we do. If we, are creative within those particular spaces, it helps to grow us as individuals, just as if it, grows the relationship in and of itself. The one main thing that, I have to talk about with regards to long distance relationships is honesty. When you're getting into something like this, you have to be honest. You have to be truthful. You have to tell this person that you're in this relationship everything, about who you are and about the people who you are in contact with, so that they're comfortable about those people as well. Because it's nothing like, being somewhere and hearing about a situation and you don't feel comfortable about that situation. So you have to always, tell each other who people are, who you're going to be around, how you know them. And it may seem like a bit much, but it isn't. If I know, who my partner, I may not know that person specifically, but who my partner is, going to be around. They've, told me, how they know this person, the kind of relationship that they have, whether it's a work relationship or they've gone to school together or whatever the case may be, so that I know exactly what's going on. I think the worst thing to do is to ever be in a space with your partner and somebody's able to walk up to them and tell them something that you don't know. So that's why it's vital and it's really important to share everything with your partner, so that you don't have those types of issues where, your partner knows everything. So if somebody came up and said something, innocently or trying to be, kind of shady, because people do that as well, because they know that you're in this relationship with somebody, that's long distance. And sometimes people want to think that they have like that, that upper hand because they're there in the same city. No, my partner knows everything. So you're not telling her anything that she doesn't already know. And so it's very important, especially too, in your relationship with your partner, there has to be a certain level, not only of just trust, but there has to be a level of maturity where you have to think about the situations that you're getting yourself into. I myself have messed up on a lot of situations, not just because my partner wasn't in town or anything like that, just because I really wasn't thinking. Things to me that would seem very innocent, in the relationship. I would tell my partner about it later, and she'd say, well, I feel some kind of way with that. Like, that's not, something that I think that you should be doing. So kind of like, let's turn the situation around. If I were talking to you and telling you the same thing that you just did, it seemed innocent, but when you think about it from the other person's perspective, you're like, oh wow, that really wasn't cool, huh? It was something that was just innocent, I would think, until you really look at it. And you have to be careful. So, you're putting yourself in certain situations that, are not comfortable situations. If the shoe were on the other foot and you think about it, well, if my partner was doing this very same thing, maybe it may be innocent, but it may not, it may make me feel some kind of way. And so you really have to really think about those things. You have to do that in any relationship anyway, but even more so when you're not in the same city as your partner, or same state or whatever with your partner. It's a long distance relationship. You have to really be careful about some of the things that you do, because even in the instance where you're being truthful and honest and you're telling some things that may seem innocent, had you really thought about those scenarios before you allowed them to happen, they would have never happened, and they wouldn't cause certain things to happen in your relationship. And so it's not that your partner ends up not trusting you, but it's things that you just really have to talk about, and you really have to talk a lot in a long distance relationship. Any lax time or not talking, not going days, hours, like long extensive hours without any type of communication, a text or a call or a song or something, can kind of make for questions, and you don't want to have any of that. Just as if you were in a relationship that you were in the same in the same city or whatever, you don't want to leave that relationship having any kind of holes. So you have to always constantly be intentional about your relationship, because of the fact that neither of you are right there with each other. You just can't get off the phone and run over a couple streets or 20 minutes across the freeway or whatever the case may be. We're talking hours before you get to that person. And I'll say another thing as far as disadvantages go. Again, I'm a visual person, so if we're getting into a disagreement about something, because it doesn't mean that you guys are going to always agree on everything, but if we're getting into a disagreement about something, and for me, I always like to be right where the person is so that you can hear my inflection, you can see my eyes, and we can, you can hear and feel what it is that I'm saying. It teaches you a lot. I'm telling you, it really does teach you a lot when you have to have, disagreements over a phone. It teaches you to have empathy. It teaches you to pay attention to the words that you speak and how you speak them, because the person can't see your intentions. They can't feel your intentions. They can't feel, how it is that you really feel, by seeing the whole picture. And so it makes you, really be creative in how you do your relationship. So long distance relationships, yes, they are a lot of work, but relationships, period, are a lot of work. And you should be doing all of these things anyway in any relationship. Truth be told, it's just that person is not in the same city or state as you. And so you have to, do maybe a little bit more just to make sure that you guys are on the same page and you're still in sync with one another. I kind of wrote down some things. That's why you see me keep looking over here, because I want to make sure that I talk about, some of the things that could possibly happen in a relationship when you don't have that communication that you need to happen. Either you just kind of dissipate, the relationship kind of goes its own way if you're not very communicative. You end up doing things that, you shouldn't do, because maybe in situations that you're there, a person, you have a friend that you're talking to and you're not being communicating with your partner, but here it is, you're communicating with this other person. It can make for a very difficult situation. So guidelines, I wouldn't say guidelines like rules got to be set, but in a sense they do. Like, you have to be able to talk about these things, what we are going to allow, ourselves to do, because you have to govern yourself. I won't do this because I think that might, hinder our relationship or do something to hurt our relationship. So I'm going to make sure that I'm always, talking to you, that I'm staying in communication with you. That was a very hard thing for me because I'm not a phone person. I really am not a phone person. But I have learned to really, be on the phone for a long time and asking different questions and delving into not just how was your day, oh, it was fine, but no, tell me about your day. Tell me, what happened from the time that, you went to the gym, or the time that, you were able to talk with some of your clients. Like, let's talk to me about your day, what you did and how you felt. And, then I reciprocate the same thing. And so we know each other in and out, because that's the only way that you'll really get to have a successful long distance relationship. You have to stay in constant communication, or it's just not going to work. It's not going to work at all. But I found that doing this helped me grow in so many ways as an individual. I'm telling you, not only, as some of the examples that I gave you earlier about learning to be more, to hear deeper, I've also been able to have more empathy. I've also learned to really be alone by myself. A lot of times, a lot of people really don't want to be in long distance relationships because they feel like they're going to be by themselves all the time. But I already do that. That's already something that I already do. I will go to the movies by myself. I'll go out to dinner by myself. I'll go have lunch by myself. Go have brunch by myself. I'll do those things because my mother taught me to do those things when I was younger. She would always say, well, you're not going to, you came in this world by yourself, you're going to die by yourself. Like, you have to be able to live in spaces and be by yourself, And so I've always done some things by myself, so I know what that feels like. So yes, I miss my partner. Yes, I want to be, walking around holding hands, doing date night every Friday night. Yes, I would love it when I go places that there are other couples that are there, that she and I would be there and, have those conversations with other couples. It doesn't always work that way. But what does happen, so that I get that full roundedness within my relationship, whenever we're together, let's say if we're here, in Detroit, then I have friends that are couples that we all meet up. We might go have dinner, or they might come over here and we fix dinner, or whatever the case may be. Or, if I'm there or whatever, we, try and meet up with people who are couples. So that's one thing that really, works, so that we can have those things, so that we can do dinner and have conversations with other couples. So there's things that you do, you just be really creative about those things. And I've learned to be more creative with regards to my relationship. And so that's another area of, growth within me, of being able to do that. Discipline, making sure for me, okay, I have to be disciplined to make that call. I could be thinking about you all day and I might text, but to actually, pick up the phone and call and really just have that, conversation and be on the phone for long lengths of time. Because I'm telling you, before this relationship, that is so not me. It is so not me. I've been, where we talk on the phone with somebody, maybe an hour at the most, but 3 hours. I mean, one time we talked on the phone like almost 6 hours. Neither one of us had any place that we had to be that day, outside of, running to the store and still, you got wireless headphones. So, you got your phone in your pocket and you're talking, you're in the grocery store, you're in the, the drugstore or a restaurant or wherever the heck you are, and you're still able to have that conversation. We talked on the phone for like 6 hours one time, and after we got off the phone, I'm like, I've never talked that much in my entire life, like literally on the phone like that, because again, I've just never been a phone person. I cannot say that. I've grown in that area where I can talk to somebody on the phone now. Another area is that you grow as a couple. Together you grow. The more that you're being creative about certain things and being intentional about the relationship grows in a different way than it would have if you were together. I think that when you're in a long distance relationship, when you're really trying to cultivate something, you live in a space of always kind of thinking about the other person. And so being in that way of always thinking about them, it's easier to pick up the phone. It's easier to send a text. Unless I get real focused and I'm focused on work, I do have that issue where I get real focused on work, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't called babe or whatever. I haven't talked to babe today, or I haven't texted. Oh my God, I got to text babe, because it's really important to me, as it should be, to make sure that she knows that she's loved and she's cared for, and that, I'm thinking about her throughout the day. It's very important. So again, I know that a lot of people think that they can't be in long distance relationships. You know what works for you. But I said that too. And absolutely, I have been in this relationship for 3.5 years. Eventually we're going to, get together in the same place, the same house, and that type of thing. But so far it has worked this way. And it has worked this way because I've had to really peel back the layers of who I am. And I actually did a post today that I had seen from a follower of mine on Instagram, where it says basically, get yourself together, find you first and then come find me. And a lot of times we really don't do that. We end up working on ourselves while in these relationships. And the one thing that could possibly happen is that you turn into a totally different person than the relationship started out to be, and that it does some type of damage, within that, because now that person can't be with you because of who it is that you are, or it makes for such a great relationship because that person has really taken the time to see who you've evolved into at every state, and they're just in awe of what it is that you're doing, and it makes for an even deeper connection between the two of you. And so although I hadn't found myself before I found this relationship, I'm thankful that I am in it, and it's allowing me to find myself. So that is another way of growth that is happening. And I know people will look or listen and hear that of finding yourself. I think there are times where you're always kind of finding yourself. You know who you are at one stage of the game, but as you move into different dimensions and different levels, who you are changes. So you kind of have to change with that. But on top of that as well, our parents have taught us to be who it is that they believe that we should be. And so we have to shed those layers and find out who we really are. Society has, made us, be a certain way. It has put its influence on us. And so some of those things we have to learn to shed that as well. And come into our own and who it is that we are and what it is that we love. We don't have to have, the opinion of, the popular opinion. We can have our own opinion and feel okay with it. We're always learning who we are. We're always finding out different nuances to who we are because of different experiences that we allow ourselves to have or not allow ourselves to have. And so, being in this relationship has really, taught me to really appreciate my alone time, for one, really appreciate the times that we're in, cohabitation together. We're being able to have that intimate time physically with one another. It has also taught me, just to be able to have conversations, to ask different questions, to ask even deeper questions, to ask a lot of questions, and to answer a lot of questions, and to hear what it is that I think about certain things, and to get the perspective of someone else from afar who doesn't see me but hears me, or who can feel me now because we've been in that space of, not having to. I think honestly that one amazing thing is that talk sex. Let's just talk about it, sex. The mere fact that you can't have sexual relationships, sexual relationship all the time, it allows you to be creative in that way as well, where you're thinking about certain things, you're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna try that, but it also in another way teaches you other ways of being satisfied or gratified or get that gratification, when you're not able to have like sexual relations with your partner. It teaches you other ways of I wouldn't say coping, because it's not about coping. It's about doing other things, trying other things that will help you either change how you feel about it at that particular moment, or be able to relieve whatever the case may be. So without going into details, hopefully you guys know what it is that I'm saying. But I feel that I've gained a lot more wisdom, as being able to have this type of relationship. I feel that there is a growth that has happened in me that has also helped me to evolve to another level. I do a lot of things by myself, but I also do a lot of things with my partner, whether she's here or whether she's not, because of the opportunities that we have to be able to see each other visually, or to just be on the phone talking as we're going about our day and doing our different things. So to me, that is actually a benefit, where other people might think that, it's a disadvantage. It's not. It's a benefit, because it helps me to be me even more. It helps me to be creative even more. It helps me, it challenges me to learn how to communicate in such a way that, the two of us will be able to understand even when we're not in the same room. And so we're able to connect on a different, way, because we're able to feel each other, our vibrations, through the phone, So there's different things that has allowed me to grow. And I really am thankful for doing this type of relationship. Yes, I can't wait for us to be in the same state, in the same house, but right now that's not what's happening. Excuse me. And I'm very happy that I have such a trust in her, because we've been so honest with one another that it just works for us. Well, I've talked long enough. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you got something out of it. Have a great day. Thank you. Peace.